What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Art to Heart podcast, where we explore how finding your voice in art can be the missing key in transforming your life and all of the life around you. My name is David. I am your host. I'm a former corporate guy turned poet. Today, I'm going to be changing things up a little bit. I'm going to have a solo episode today. To be honest, I think I've been hiding behind my guests. I mean, I'm only 3-4 episodes in at this point, but I've intentionally been kind of like hiding myself from it outside of the guests. And so I don't know why that is, but I know that I needed to do a solo episode sooner or later, and I might alternate between interviews and solos. But I'll be honest, this was hard for me to post. I don't know why I hella procrastinated on this. And I think that's when I realized that I have been hiding behind my guests. And so I just wanted to kind of be upfront and be real with y'all. And thank you for going on this journey with me and checking these out. Anyways, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the solo episode. Today I wanted to share something that's been on my mind a lot from a recent experience I had. And that idea is, when we mistake a stop for the final destination? And what do I mean by that? So I don't know about you, but a lot of the times I can get in my own head and put too much weight and expectations on a trip that I'm about to go on, whether it's a trip or an event or a meeting, an experience, whatever it is. I tend to put too many expectations on it about what I'm going to learn, what I'm going to get out of it, and more specifically, how that's going to impact the next step in my life. And I set myself up for failure pretty hard recently. So I just got done traveling with a pretty magical 5 to 6 weeks. I was in Europe. I went to Morocco for one of my best friend's wedding. I went to the Sahara Desert, rode on camels, and then I had a poetry retreat in Morocco. And so, anyways, a lot of these really crazy things worked out for this trip to happen. And so I kind of got really lost in this joy of life. And to top it off, I was going to finish it off by going to Mexico for Day of the Dead, for Dia de los Muertos on November 1st and 2nd. I'll probably talk about this in another episode, but I am currently trying to transition my career into that of a death doula, and to transitioning for people at the end of their life, helping them transition at the end of life. And with that, I had all these expectations about what going to Mexico for Day of the Dead would mean for me, especially experiencing these indigenous traditional celebrations. And the fact of the matter is, those were just an experience. It wasn't supposed to be this place where I got all of my answers and all of my clarity. And that's the weight that I put on that. And I'm also writing a poetry book. And my muse for that has been butterflies. I'll mention that a lot. They have just been showing up like crazy. And there is probably a little bit of confirmation bias there. I'm not naive, but they're just unmistakable in the coincidences. They've been showing up in my life left and right. And so I went to follow the monarchs. That's what I'm writing my poetry book about. And so they migrate to Mexico every year. And so for me, it was just this beautiful package of following my muse to my roots. I've been searching for my identity of what it means to be from Mexico and living as a Mexican American. And not only that, but also circulating around this idea of Day of the Dead, because that's when the butterflies arrive. And so for me, I mean, I'm a poet, so yes, I'm going to see the poetry in this. And so I got lost in that. And I was like, man, when I do this trip, everything's going to make sense for me. It's all going to be awesome. And the poetry retreat, everything in Morocco was amazing. But when I got to Mexico, I started buckling. I couldn't enjoy myself because I was like, fuck, I don't have anything figured out yet. How am I supposed to have it all figured out here, And so I was in Mexico for a little over a week, and I didn't even let myself go to the Monarch Sanctuary until the very last couple of days. I kept putting it off. And so, and I was like, what the hell? Like, I'm over here, I'm following this next step for my path. This is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. Why do I feel like such shit? And I realized that I had just these crazy expectations on the trip of what it would mean. And it was just a stop. It wasn't the final destination. And I think one of the first lessons I really got in my path to being a death doula is the final destination's death. As dark as that is, but we're never gonna get to that final place. You know, you always hear how life is always about the journey, and that's 100% true. It's how you're getting to where you're going, not where you're going. And you know, we really won't get all of the answers until death. That's the really funny part. Um, After death, whatever you believe, but we're never going to have all the answers, even to the day we die. There's a magic to being open and just receiving what's happening. And, you know, if you look back at some of the most impactful moments that you've had, how many of them were planned 100%? You know, how often did you show up and just be open to whatever happens and let life do the rest? You know, you can plan like 50 or 60% of something. Like, yeah, I'm going to go do this meditation retreat in this place. And that's an intention, and that's showing up. But you can't plan when your breakthrough is going to happen. You can just over plan and end up planning your breakdown. That's exactly what happened to me. I was just lost and in my own head and emotions, just like yelling at myself and talking down to me on my birthday, you know. And so it's a lesson learned. And I think that's really funny that on my first lesson of becoming a death doula, I learned that the ultimate answers you're all going to get is death. Like, it's like a really fucked up teacher. You're never going to pass this test until you die. Oh, cool. All right, guys. I think I'm letting too much of my sense of humor and darkness show out. Let me know if any of this resonates. And I think the last point I want to run home here is just to be comfortable with asking more questions and abandoning the answers. Not abandoning the answers, but sometimes getting an answer can be disappointing, but it's the journey of what we did while we were asking that question is what matters. You know, I've heard this many times, but I'm finally registering it more and more. The quality of your conversations and experiences are only directly related to the quality of the questions you're asking. But the cool thing about digging into your past is that sometimes you get some questions with the pain that weren't there before. You have a new perspective and you're asking new questions. And if you follow those, it can lead you to some pretty special places. And that being said, I think I'm just going to share a short poem that's been on my mind a lot about this. And then we'll end it there. Here's the poem. I don't care about the answers. It's to the questions I'll run. Questions are the answers, if you know where they're from. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I want to end this episode by challenging you to think of a time where you went on a trip, you had this experience planned, and you thought that this trip would solve all of your problems and answer all of your questions. And what did it feel like when either maybe you did get everything you thought you wanted, and that is amazing. I would love to hear about that. But if you didn't get what you wanted and it was just all like this clusterfuck, what was that like? And you know, what were the questions you were asking yourself when that happened? You know, was it more like, oh, why did everything suck? Or did you ask yourself, you know, like, what message is there for me to take? What lesson is there for me to take out of this? And for me, I think the next time I plan a vacation, I'll probably stop and ask myself a few times before, you know, what is your intention out of this trip? And what can this trip realistically provide for you? Are you getting experience? Are you getting lessons? Is there something you want to learn out of this trip? What is it you're trying to learn? And just get very specific with myself of what I want to learn. And if it's possible to do that, then fucking go for it. But if not, just don't disappoint yourself as much. And then you can't be present, and then you're not enjoying your trip because you thought you'd get A out of it, instead you're getting F. I think you get the point now, y'all. Let me know how you think about these solo episodes. Please reach out to me on Instagram at art2heart.life, ART, the number 2 heart.life. or also at www.art2heart.life. Thank you all so much. Until next time.